welcome once again to another episode here on the Baby Girls YouTube channel. If you're new to my channel and my space, hi guys, welcome. My name is Becca. I know it's been a hot minute that you guys saw me. I have been so inconsistent on this channel and I do greatly apologize for that. We'll talk about that later in another video, but I saw this video going on and a lot of people have actually sent it to me, and I feel the need to talk about this and to address certain concerns and also to use it as an education, opportunity to educate ourselves as to current happenings around our practice so that we can practice effectively and safely as a registered nurse, right? So I always say this, that if you come to a foreign country to practice as a professional, right, one thing that you should be careful to study is the laws of the land relating to the practice that you are in, especially the current practice trends that you are in. Otherwise, you find yourself deviating or doing something that can go against you in the court of law, right? So there is a story that is going around about a nurse called Jennifer, who unfortunately has been dismissed from her job, and as it stands now, the case is currently being discussed just because she went to call a transgender patient by the wrong gender that he doesn't want to be addressed by. So let's say, for example, the patient is a male originally and he's transed into a female and he prefers to be called or addressed by a female. This nurse addressed him by a male. He got agitated about the whole thing and it blew up so quickly. I'm going to be inserting videos of what happened and what the nurse actually said.
He had two prison guards and with chains and buffed on his legs as well, and he was lashing, actually got out of bed, lashing at me, and I was shaking. I had to just take a few steps back. Racially abused and calling me the N-word multiple times, and I said, "You got to calm down." And at that point, I was shaking. I had to just walk away and leave the environment.
You explained to him that
yes,
he was upset because you weren't addressing him as
yes,
female, and you explained to him, look, I'm happy to call you by the preferred name that you want,
yes,
but this goes against my belief
Christian faith. And I said, I'm happy to call you by your preferred name, feminine name that we had on the board. I said, I'm happy to call you that, but I cannot refer to you
that's your
yes,
right. You
yes,
have gender-critical beliefs. We have the right to have those beliefs.
Yes, and Christian faith, according to the word of God, Genesis 1:27, it said, God created them male and female. And I just stood by it. I said, well, I'm a Christian person, a woman.
You're allowed to say woman here.
Yes, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian girl. I'm a Christian girl, and I love the Lord. And I know, beyond male and female is an abomination to the Lord, and I can't do that. I was traumatized with the situation. The fact that I could be facing suspension, my career coming to an end, simply because I refused to refer to this patient as a female, as a she or miss.
Let's read all that information. Listen, look.
Yes, on the medical record, this was a male patient under urology. On the bedside, it was just written his name, not miss or anything. So on the first glance, when I looked at him, I was like, wow. He was a very big man, very huge, about 6 foot tall. He literally stood up and began to throw racial slurs at me and said, "Do not call me mister. I'm a miss. I'm a woman." When I came back the following shift, I was told you can't work anywhere else. From now on, you can't do bank shifts. You're restricted from doing anything from HR point of view, because you have deliberately misgendered the patient. I was in shock.
Now, someone make that fucking make sense. So because she misgendered someone, because it clearly stated on the medical records that he was a man, and by the sounds of it, a 6 foot huge man. So because she misgendered this man, she is now been suspended from her duties. Even after he got up, got in her face, and continued to call out racial fucking slurs towards her. How intimidated must she have felt? And let's not forget that he's actually a convicted pedo. But because he decided to fucking change his pronouns on the paperwork on the bedside, she is now fucking been suspended. Even though she was going off medical records that are fucking in front of her face. But that's the state of the world we live in today. You can decide to fucking change your gender whenever you damn well please. And you can clearly become whatever you fucking want. The wokeness in this country is literally fucking pathetic. These people clearly need to get a grip of themselves and go and see someone. Because as far as I'm concerned, you've got something wrong up here and you need to see a specialist. Either that or you're just a person that likes to jump on the fucking bandwagon because you want to feel like you're included. Let me know what you lot think about this in the comments.
Now, this is my take on the whole conversation, right? So first of all, this patient is a prisoner who is still in custody. He was brought to the hospital by 2 prison officers who were guarding him at that time. And according to the nurse, she said this happened in a urology unit, right, where she was the charge nurse for the night. So the patient apparently wanted to be discharged against his medical advice. And because it's urology, right, and is a male, you wouldn't even think that he has transed, okay? So the man wants to be discharged, and so she was called to come and speak to the man. Upon her getting there, she realized that this tall giant man was screaming on top of his lungs, you know, kicking off and all that. So she was like, oh, hey, mister, you know, like, mister, she's come to talk to the man. So by addressing him by mister, he kicks off. Already, this is a man that is already agitated, he's distressed, he's unhappy about something. And it's like she just comes to put more salt into his food or something, I don't even know. She addressed him as a mister. And then the guy, you know, kicked off and said, I'm not a mister, I'm a woman, you should address me by my name. And then the nurse went ahead to say that it's against my religious belief to call you as a female because God created a man and woman, and that is what I believe. So if you're a man and I can see your picololo there, I can see your thing is inside your pants, I can see it, you're a man, I call you by a man. And after the whole shenanigans, she's gone home. And then when she came back the next morning, she had already been moved from her ward to another ward. Then later on, she was dismissed, right? This is what I have to say about the whole situation. I'm going to say this is a two-sided conversation I'm going to have. I'm going to play the devil's advocate over here, just for educational purposes. Now, this is a country where, unfortunately, things are beginning to change, right? I remember when I came here about 5 years ago, when I came to the UK, we were taught this. Once you meet a patient, introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Rebecca. How would you like to be called? Okay. So by doing so, you have consented, or you've asked the patient how they want to be addressed, and that is how you are going to be addressing them. By so doing, you wouldn't fault, calling them by what they don't want to be called, because I have next patient who wants to be called names that are not their names. Let's say, for example, you know that my name is Rebecca. On my paper, I am called Rebecca, but I want to be called maybe Sophia, right? So Sophia is not my actual name certified, but that is what I prefer to be called. And I've seen lots of instances. If you work especially in a care home, you will see lots of these patients over there. So I think failure to address the patient by his name was the first problem she made. Number two, saying that it is against my religious belief, right? Now, this is how it is interpreted, that you are trying to superimpose your religion on the person. Whether we like it or not, in cases like this, it is difficult for you to come clear, especially when you are trying to say that it is against my religious belief to call you by what you want me to be calling you by. And because this actually, they've tried to add this gender thing to the protected characteristics, he had an upper hand. But one thing I don't understand is why the hospital management didn't stand with her in this situation. I watched a video of another creator who spoke about this, and in the comment section, a lady said that in Ireland there was a man who was a teacher who also did the same thing, who was, you know, sacked from the school. He lost his job and all the yada yada. One thing I don't want to happen to anybody in this world is to lose your source of living or your daily bread because of somebody whose life is already miserable. Like, come to think of it, this person is already a prisoner. I am not saying he doesn't deserve any rights or he doesn't deserve to have a voice, but he's in prison for being a pedophile. He's already done horrible, horrendous things that has taken him to prison. Why should this person cause somebody else to lose their job? Honestly. And to think of the fact that the hospital management didn't for 1 second stand with the nurse is something that I cannot believe. I can't believe, because things like this, yeah, you can change her job, you know, put her in disciplinary, speak to her, you know, like get her to understand, like, this is what you're doing, this is not right. Now she has been tagged as being a threat to the public just by that one single statement that she made. I'm going to hold your hand with a napkin in between if I say this, that guys, as you are practicing, pray that you do not meet people who will destroy your career. Pray, because there are certain people who are already unhappy with their lives and they'll go any length to make sure that you are also miserable, and they take your daily bread away from you. So me, if I come to you as my patient and you tell me, hey, listen, I am called Jennifer, call me Jonathan, we roll by Jonathan. It is Jonathan I'm going to call you by, and I'm not going to miss any words if I say that. I know that we have religion to, you know, we have a religion to fall back on, we have a religion to respect, but at the same time, what we should be careful of doing is try not to superimpose that religion on other people. Right? Because that is how it is now interpreted, that she was trying to kind of like force her religion on this person and say that because of my religion, I am not going to address you by this. That is what is now being, you know, circulating around the media. If she doesn't have a voice, or she didn't have a voice, because there are people who have gone through similar situations, who have been dismissed, expelled, been struck off by NMC, that were not heard at all. She is lucky, Jennifer, that she has been heard, and I pray that she wins this case, because the case is now in court. I pray that she wins this case. But there are a lot of people who have gone through situations like this, who didn't have anybody to stand by them, who have been dismissed. I had a colleague who was dismissed from work because of something really minor that could have been dealt internally. So be sensitive in the environment you work in the management that are looking after you. And I would say that if I was working in the NHS trust that this nurse is working, I would have been resigning first thing tomorrow morning. I would have tendered in my resignation to quit. Because there are some managers who will not stand by you. They will not fight for you. They are just looking for one problem, just one thing that you do, and kick you off and get you punished for the little things. So please be sensitive as you're practicing. Be careful how you deal with people. Protect your pain and have a plan B. I can't stress this more than, like, have a plan B in this nursing profession. Nursing in diaspora, nursing in the UK is not for babies. It's not for children. So just stay guarded. Look after yourself, your physical, your mental health. And if an environment is not deserving of your energy, quit. With this being said, I wish you guys all the very best. Stay tuned and watch out for my next video. See you next. Bye.